Welcome. Welcome to a very historic day here at Calvin University. Good afternoon. I want to thank every one of you for coming out and supporting this project and Calvin football. My name is Jim Timmer. I serve as the Director of Athletics here at Calvin University. And again, a very exciting day for Calvin. As you know, today we're going to be introducing Trent to you in just a few moments. You'll hear from Coach Fig. But before we do that, I'd like to, his better side, right? We'd like to introduce the group to Tori, his wife, Titus, his oldest, 8-year-old, Thomas, and Tobias. We want to welcome them to the Calvin family. Prior to Trent's address, we'll hear some brief remarks from President Bohr on the state of Calvin athletics, and from Provost Tolley, who I co-chaired the search committee with, on how Trent came onto our radar and why we think he's the best fit to lead the football program. Also note for the media who are here today, there'll be opportunities for one-on-one interviews with Trent after today's proceedings. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to President Bohr.
Thank you, Jim Timmer. I am incredibly proud to be the president of a university with the amazing athletic tradition that Calvin has. We have over 350 MIAA championships. MIAA is our league, and the next closest to us is quite a bit behind. And I'm actually proud to say that I was actually part of 2 of those championships, but I won't tell you what sport. So on the field, on the court, on the track, in the pool, we dominate. And we've won 11 national championships. You'll see the banners around. If you take it all the way to runs to the Final Four, we have over 60. So we're definitely one of the top schools in NCAA Division III in athletics. But our athletes are also scholars, and they are true student athletes. So in addition to our success on the field, our athletes are also very successful in the classroom. And we are within the top 25 of the entire NCAA in terms of academic All-Americans, one of the absolute top in Division III. And in fact, our student athletes on average have higher GPAs than the average Calvin student. So we truly have athletes who are truly student athletes. But then even more importantly, our sports teams are more than sports teams, and our coaches are more than coaches. They are also the ones who are providing the spiritual formation and guidance and development of our young men and women, so that when our athletes leave here, they are not only succeeding on the field in the classroom, but they are also solidly grounded in the Christian faith, and they go out into the world as agents of renewal. And so it's those 3 elements that make our sports program entirely just very unique and incredibly successful. In addition to that, we have a lot of momentum in sports right now. So as you know, as we're celebrating today, we are starting a football team, but we've also started a men's volleyball team, a women's acrobatics and tumbling team, so a lot of new teams are coming. But in addition, as you can see in this arena, we have arguably the best indoor facility in Division III, and we're now also doing a lot of work outside to upgrade our outside athletic facilities so that they also come up to that same level of standard. So there's a lot of exciting things. We have a great tradition, great success right now, great momentum, and it is in that context that we are welcoming Coach Fig. Thank you for taking this role, but again, I want to emphasize to you, it's not just about success on the field, and I know that you're the man who's going to make our football players successful in the classroom and successful in their Christian life as well. So welcome to Calvin, and I'll now hand over to our Provost, Noah Tolley, who along with Jim Timmer led the process that brought you here. So thank you very much.
Thank you all for being with us this afternoon. I first want to echo what President Bohr just said. We've launched this football program as part of a broader athletic strategic plan that builds on years of sustained excellence in 3 areas: athletic excellence and competitive achievement, academic excellence, and excellence in Christian character development and spiritual formation. Calvin Athletics sets a high bar, and that means that our new teams have a high standard to meet, but also an incredible support network of people who have been there and done that, as they get underway with their own new programs. They are joining something great. The second thing I want to emphasize today is that the most important decision in this process, apart from the board's decision to launch a football program, was the decision about who we would hire. I want to give you some basics of that process and tell you just a little bit about Calvin's inaugural head football coach, Coach Trent Figg. When we launched this search, which I co-chaired with Director Timmer, I knew we would have great applicants. I did not anticipate that we would have almost 150. That's partly a testimony to Calvin's excellent reputation. But sorting through all of that takes a lot of wisdom, and we were blessed with a 12-person committee representing nearly every division at the university who could bring wisdom and knowledge of what Calvin is looking for. Some committee members also brought along strong networks in the football world, and like any athletic networks, that's a small world. People who know football well, appreciate Division III athletics, and in some cases have an experience at a Christian liberal arts institution. Knowing how important it would be to find just the right person, we spent many hours networking with those groups, asking, what should we look for and who should we recruit? We were looking for someone who could be an architect of the program and could cast a vision for Calvin football, even though the program doesn't exist yet. We were looking for someone who could recruit Michigan and beyond, could develop players, and could coach for strong results. We were looking for someone who could win the room with multiple constituents, students, parents, donors, faculty, administrators, media, who wanted to invest in Calvin and who competes on the field, invests in the classroom, and seeks character development. Someone who would build a team culture that fits Calvin's ethos and Calvin's commitments to diversity, and who would go out of his way to be part of the rest of the athletic department, rest of the university, and the rest of the Grand Rapids community. And what I most want you to know is that we shared all of this when we worked our networks looking for the right person. And Trent Figg had 2 strong endorsements from within those networks before he even applied. That is, we went out looking for the right person. I remember our first phone call, Coach Figg, and we called Coach Figg and asked him to jump in the pool because of how strong those endorsements were, how much of a fit he was to everything I just mentioned. One source went so far as to give us feedback on alternatives that would be good for us if we couldn't get Trent. His resume speaks for itself. He's a man of deep Christian faith. He's a teacher. He comes to us from Oregon, where he worked as senior offensive analyst for a 10-win team this past year, and his last game was in the Holiday Bowl, a win. He has experience coaching in all 3 phases of the game. He has worked as associate head coach and chief of staff, positions that reflect organizational and management skills necessary to build and lead the program, and not only to coach the players. He has coached at multiple competition levels, including at very large schools and very small ones. He's a great relationship builder and recruiter. He understands what a unique opportunity it is to coach here at Calvin. There are not many institutions where you get to recruit a player to play great football, to have great academics, and to have a Christian education. Calvin will be one of only a few. And I want to leave you with just 2 stories before I invite Trent up here. First is that when I first met Coach Figg, on the morning of his interview day in person, we had breakfast. It was me, Director Timmer, Associate Director Warners, Coach Figg, and I remember leaving that breakfast thinking, I could learn a lot from Coach Figg. I could learn a lot from Coach Figg. I wanted to sit and listen more to his career path and the things he'd learned along the way. But the second is that during one part of our process, we asked candidates a really interesting question. We said, imagine yourselves in the locker room just before your team is heading out for the first Calvin football game ever. And you have 3 minutes, 5 minutes to tell them the most important thing that they need to hear from you before they take the field. What's it going to be? And what was striking about Coach Figg's answer was the reference to community. Think about all the people who have made a difference along the way for you. But also the reference to joy. Think about the joy of putting on pads for the first time. Think about that. Draw that up. Now let's go out there and take the field. That's the kind of coach that we want here at Calvin. That's the kind of coach that we got. And I want you to join me in welcoming Coach Trent Figg to the stage.
Thank you all very much. Needless to say, I am extremely, extremely excited to be here. And even more important than that, I'm extremely thankful to be here. I'm so thankful, and I want every person here to know that I do not take this lightly. This is such a special time and such a special place here at Calvin, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So before I get started here, there's a couple people that I really want to thank that have made this day possible for Calvin and that have made this day possible for me. So I want to start off by thanking God. And I know that a lot of people start a press conference with that. I wholeheartedly mean that. God has ordained every single step of my life and every single step of my coaching journey. I've had the privilege to work for 7 different head coaches in 15 years, and I've learned a lot from all those people, and God has directed every single step, and my family and I are very confident that this is exactly where God has us at this time, and we're so excited to be here. So I want to thank God to start with. After that, I want to thank President Bohr for his vision for this entire university. I want to thank Noah for, you and Jim Timmer leading the search together. I want to thank Jim for your vision for the athletic department, and Amber Warners and the entire search committee, because we spent hours getting to know each other. This was a very rewarding process for me, and it was a long process. It really was for everybody. There was nights we were up on Zoom really late, and I know after we got off our calls, they stayed up much later than that, discussing everything that they needed to do. And that's what made me so confident, was the diligence that went into this search. The search committee is incredible people, and I'm so thankful for that. So thankful for my family. My parents are sitting here, Troy and Terry. So thankful for their support along the way. And sorry. There's a crew that I really want to thank from the bottom of my heart, and that's my wife, Tori, and Titus, and Thomas, and Tobias. Sorry, I'm not usually this type of person. But people talk all the time about the word sacrifice, and they talk about how much coaches sacrifice in their jobs. Your families are the ones that sacrifice. They really are. And this is home for us, Grand Rapids, Calvin University, this is home for us, and the sacrifice that they've made all along the way is so special to me, and it means so much to me, and I hope that you guys can see that, and I hope that you guys know how important that is to me as we move forward. So, that being said, I also want to thank the 7 head coaches that I've worked for my entire career. Those guys have made so much of a difference in my life, and they've laid the foundation for what we're going to build here at Calvin. So, that's enough about me. This day is about Calvin University. This day is about Calvin football. So what I want to talk about is what this is going to look like going forward. So I'm so thankful to be here, and I take this opportunity so seriously because this is such a special place. Going through this process with the search committee, through Zoom meetings, through the phone, before I ever got to campus, one thing that I kept seeing and I kept noticing was these people are so excited every time I talk to them. Why? Why are these people so excited? What makes Calvin such a special place? And it kept coming back to the people. The people of Calvin make this place so special. Why do they want football at Calvin, right? Why do they want to have football at Calvin? Because Calvin football is going to fit right into the excellence that's already been established here. Through the university, through the coaching staff, through the athletic department. You know, I was sitting there talking with Jim whenever I was here a couple weeks ago, and he pointed out that you guys look around, there's more than 10 banners hanging up here, and every one of them says national champion. He said the only way you can get a banner is if you win a national championship. That's exciting to me, right? That's really exciting because that is the level of competition. That's the expectation here at Calvin, which is very special. And just like President Bohr said, this place offers such a unique opportunity to develop and build young men, right? When young men leave this program, we want them to be the best husbands they can be, if that's what they choose. We want them to be the best dads that they can be. We want them to be the best Christ-following citizens that they can be, and they're ready to enter the real world. And Calvin prepares people for that. Calvin University prepares people for that. I've already met several alumni, and that's what they talk about. They talk about the people. They talk about what makes this place so special. And it's because of the people that are in this room. And it shows everyone who came out to support this today exactly how special this place is. So as we move forward with football, it's really, really important to me, and I've had a lot of conversations about this, that this is done the right way. Well, how's that done the right way? With the right people, just like what we already have here. So we want to identify the right recruits to come into this program. Kids that fit Calvin, kids that are tough, kids that are competitive. That's because that's exactly what we're going to be on the field. But it's so important as we identify kids, as we identify a staff to come here and support Calvin football, that's exactly what we get. We get great people that all have the exact same vision. Because that is our goal at Calvin football, is to join this athletic department and continue the excellence that has already been started here. Sorry, let me look at a couple things here. Okay. So what is Calvin football going to look like on the field? That's what a lot of people want to know. That's a question that I continue to get. So as I think about Calvin football, if there's one word that comes to my mind, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be explosive in all three phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams, right? We want people to have to defend the entire field when we're on offense. We want to attack. We're going to be explosive on defense. And in the kicking game, we're going to be dynamic. We're going to change the game in the kicking game. And it's been very clear to me, right, that November 9th, 2024, we're going to play Hope, right? And we're going to be ready for that game, right? Everybody's prepared. Everybody's ready for that, right? You know, so as we continue to move forward, you know, I tell everybody we're going to be quick, but we're not going to be in a hurry. We want to do things the right way. Well, what does that mean? We're going to start right here in Grand Rapids. There's some high school football coaches here in the stands today. There is tremendous high school football right here in Grand Rapids and then in West Michigan. So we're going to build a base right here in West Michigan. And then we're going to expand the entire state of Michigan, and then we're going to go as far as we can to get the right people for this program to compete the right way. Right? We want to compete in the classroom, we want to compete on the field, we want to compete in the community. And I don't just say that, I mean that as we move forward. So like I said, we're going to start right here in Grand Rapids with the great people that are here. So I know that I've said a lot, right? And today is a celebration about Calvin University football. I feel so thankful that I get to be the one that stands up here first, right? I'm so blessed. How does a small town kid from Chillicothe, Missouri, you guys have never heard of that place before, right? How do I get to stand up here at Calvin University and be the first head football coach at Calvin? I'm so blessed, and I'm so fortunate to be here, and I'm so fortunate to have such great people around me to start this, right? This is going to be such a fun adventure. I cannot wait for Saturday afternoons on Calvin's campus. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be dynamic. And I'm so excited to do it with every single person that's in this room. So thank you guys so much for coming out today. I appreciate every single one of you. God bless you all, and go Knights.
All right, so I'm Jeff Phoebus, the Sports Information Director here at Calvin, and we're going to open it up to questions. We'll take them for 5-10 minutes or so, and then when we're done with that, we'll break away to individual one-on-ones with Trent or any of the athletic administration or, Dr. Timmer, Dr. Bohr, Dr. Tolley, they're all Division III athletes. Dr. Tolley played football at Wheaton, and Dr. Timmer actually was a pretty good high school quarterback. So all three of them can speak as student athletes as well as from the administrative side. So I would recommend them as candidates to be interviewed as well. We want to open it up, and Coach, hate to put you on the hot seat, but I'm going to ask the first question, and it's probably one that you're getting a lot. But one of the nice things about coming to Calvin is you get this built-in rivalry in all sports. You're probably being asked your thoughts on playing a Calvin Hope football game. That's been percolating here in West Michigan for quite a while. Maybe you can come up and just talk about your thoughts on that one.
So you're correct. That is a question that I've got a lot. And I want to start out by saying that this conference, the MIAA, I have a ton of respect for the head coaches in this league. They've done a tremendous job. Coach Sturzma, the guys at Hope, they do a tremendous job there. Those guys are prepared. They play really good football. And I'm excited. I mean, who doesn't like a great college football rivalry, right? This is one of the top rivalries in the country. So I'm so excited to be a part of it, but I'm also so humbled and so thankful because the head coaches in this league are awesome. They've built a great program there, just like we're going to build right here. And we're going to go compete as quickly as we possibly can.
All right, we'll open it up. We've got microphones on the side, or if somebody just wants to, shout out a question, we'll take them here. Lenny in the front.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're exactly right. We're starting from zero. There's currently 0 kids on the roster at Calvin, which is really exciting because typically when you go in as a new head coach, you inherit the roster that's there, right? And so right now we have 0 problems on our roster. So that's a great question. So what we have to do, and I've talked to Jim at length about this, we have to identify kids that fit at Calvin. Our first season, the fall of 2023, we will not play against another team right now. So we've got to identify kids that are tough, kids that are competitive, and kids that love Calvin and want to be at Calvin. So we're going to do that through a process, again, of being quick but not being in a hurry. So if I had an ideal number to put on the roster for next fall, I'd love to have a 2 deep on each side of the football, so 40 to 45 players for fall, so we can practice with each other all fall long, and we will simulate. I've got some creative ideas on some things we can do in the fall to simulate so we can all stay sharp with our skills. In the following fall, obviously, we'll be ready for full competition, so another class of probably a little bit bigger, that second class of 45 to 50, roughly 100 kids for that second year. And then from there, we'd love to carry a roster of 110 to 120 student athletes going forward from that point. But I want to emphasize that we want to do it the right way. We want to identify this first class is so important, for laying the foundation for what Calvin football is. So we want to identify the right kids that come in and they fit this community.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So that's a great question.
Maybe just repeat the question there.
Yep, so he said, having been an offensive coordinator turned coach, does that give you an advantage? So I have been really fortunate in my career. Like I said, I've worked for 7 different head coaches. 3 of them were at one school. But I've worked on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, and been a special teams coordinator, and I did that on purpose. Early in my career, I had a coach that intentionally put me on the other side of the ball than when I played on defense in college. And he said it's going to really benefit your career to go on the offensive side of the ball. And I didn't understand why at the time, but as I progressed through my career, it's been a huge advantage for me because I do feel like I have a good handle on each side of the ball, and it's come from those experiences.
Anyone else? Patrick in front.
Yep, so you're going to see kids that, if you see one word about our program, it's going to be toughness. We're going to have kids that are really tough. I think that football is a direct reflection, correlation of life. It's a great team sport that teaches kids how to get up whenever they've been knocked down, and our kids are going to be tough. Our kids are going to understand what that means, and I'm not just talking about on Saturdays. Every day of the week. And then the most important thing to me, and I truly mean this, is whenever our kids graduate, when they get knocked down, they can pick themselves up, and they know what that means. And football does, you do that every single play. People are on the ground, right? And you have to get back up. But I truly mean that our kids are going to be tough. They're going to be really tough kids.
Penny again.
Yeah. Yep. So he asked about our facilities, what that looks like going forward, what input have I had on the design. So Jim and I have talked a lot about that. There's a really cool 3D model. There's some really cool pictures that whenever I was here a couple weeks ago, he and I and Noah sat down and we talked through several of those details. Now, it's been designed really well. There's a great plan in place right now. But it's going to be fun. It's a really fan-friendly stadium, which I love. It's very tight. You'll be able to hear the crowd. You'll be able to be up close and personal, with the players. So I love that it's a small college, intimate setting. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I think it's going to be loud. We're going to be able to pack that stadium, and it's going to be fun.
Anyone else?
Yeah, that's a great question. So he asked, having experience on both sides of the ball, what does that staff look like from an offensive, defensive coordinator standpoint, and how do I see myself fitting into that? So kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's all about the right people. And so, there's been a ton of coaches reach out that are interested in Calvin. I think everybody sees exactly what I see. This is a great place. So there's a lot of people that would love to come join this program and be a part of this. How I envision it going forward, we will definitely have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and it depends who those people are. I do feel comfortable calling plays. I love to let my people feel empowered as well. Our people feel empowered, and so, at the end of the day, we will have an offense and defensive coordinator, and depending on who those people are, will really kind of dictate how much of the actual play calling on one side of the ball or the other that I do. But in the interview process, very early on, we talked about we won't stop until we get the right people for this staff.
Any others? Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up the formal part here. I think Dr. Timmer's going to come up here, and for the media, we'll have individual one-on-ones available here on the side. And thank you, everyone, for coming on out.
Chaplain Cooper, our chaplain emeritus, says you can't say thank you enough, so I'm going to say it one more time. Thanks for everyone coming out. We really appreciate the support. We're going to need you as we build this addition to our athletic program. I want to thank the coaches on our coaching staff who are really busy, who are working hard. We got basketball games. Everybody come back for the basketball games. Thank all of them for coming out and supporting their new colleagues. So, and finally, I want to thank our administration, the commitment this takes. President Bohr, President Tolley, and I see a number of our cabinet members in the arena today. It's humbling, and so I really appreciate that and the support that it's going to take to get this done. And finally, Trent, thank you for joining us. When we started this, I'm like, who is going to take this job? And I can't imagine anybody but you at this point. So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We're going to take a few pictures here with, I don't know if some of you have seen the helmet, so I got to take a few pictures with the helmet. So. Thank you. You guys to come up, take a picture. Same picture with these guys. He's going to come on this side, and then we'll have him hold it. You guys, I don't need to be in this one. I just was in it. You guys are good. We're great. Oh, I'm going to get on this one.